Alright you guys, welcome back. So in today's video I'm going to be talking about how I mounted the transmission cooler on my 2015 Camaro SS. Like always, if you have any questions about what's done or how I did it, you can go ahead and leave that in the comment section below or reach out to me personally and I'll answer those for you. Without further ado, let's get right into the video and I'm going to show you guys how I did it. Alright, to start, I think it's important to note that there are two ways that you can route your transmission cooler. One is independent of the radiator and the second way is in tandem with the radiator. I did it independently. All I would suggest is for you to do research and to figure out which way you think is better for where you live and how you want to run your car. I ran it independently of the radiator. I had my reasons for that. There's pros and cons, so like I said, just do some research and then figure out which way is best for you. With that said, here is my transmission cooler. I have it mounted right here. And when the bumper is on, which I can show you guys, walk over here, I've got the Z28 grill, but it wouldn't really matter even if you had the stock one. The radiator lines up perfectly to this grill right here. And so I'll put the bumper back on at the end of this video to show you guys what that looks like. But for now, I have it mounted here. Mounting was pretty easy. Obviously, you have to drill through the crash bar. Just make sure that when you drill, you do it in a straight line, right? That way your bolts line up. And then up here, so these two bolts back here, there are two like natural holes is what I'll call them on, I wouldn't even know what to call this, on this bumper support, whatever, this plate back here, the metal plate. There are two holes that go straight through. Those are the two that I used. And then this transmission cooler, which I'll put in the description down below, it comes with these brackets. And so all I did was bent those brackets to where they fit. And now they don't fit in this middle hole because there's not enough length. So what I did was, there's a size difference between the middle hole and the outside holes. So all I did was drill out the outside hole on this side and then put the bolt and then the nut through, and it worked out perfectly. So with the brackets, I mounted up top, and then with the crash bar, I mounted on the bottom. For the bottom, I just went to Home Depot and bought some long bolts that fit through, and I mean, this thing is mounted and it's sturdy. I mean, it's not going anywhere. So for mounting, it really wasn't too hard. Obviously, you're gonna have to mess around with it to kind of make things work, but there are natural mounting positions that you can use. Okay, so now that you got your cooler mounted, the next thing is routing the cooler lines. So this is AN line. All of these kits always include this junk here. This is just like rubber, I don't even know, hose fittings or whatever they call them. But this stuff is junk. It's a lot less durable and it's a lot more likely to fail. So don't use this. Go out and purchase AN lines and fittings. And so what I will do for you guys is link the transmission cooler I'm using. I will link the AN line that I bought. I'll link all the fittings and adapters that I use. And then I will also link to the forum that I read that broke down how to mount the cooler the exact same way that I mounted it. But if we look in the engine bay, you will see here the factory line is here. What I did was used a tubing cutter to cut the factory line and then ran an adapter, which is 3/8 compression to 6 AN. This adapter allows you to convert to 6 AN line, and so it runs from the factory transmission lines so it bypasses the radiator and then just comes right back up here to our cooler. What I will say is, if anything is going to fail, it's going to be here at this connection. And if it does fail, what I'll do is buy longer AN line and then use an adapter starting at the transmission and then run AN line from the transmission up to the cooler, which honestly is something that I should have done to begin with. I read the forum posts of this. The guy hasn't had any problems, so that's a good thing. But if I do have problems, that's the way that I'll do it. And quite honestly, that's the way that I suggest you guys do it, is just to run the AN line starting from the transmission up to the transmission cooler. What I will do, there's a YouTuber, First 60 Foot, that's the way that he did it. I'll also link his video in the description so you guys can see and have a visual representation of that. I honestly wish that I went that way, but I had already bought all the stuff in order for me to do it the way that I'm doing. So I just decided not to go through the hassle of buying more stuff and just mount it this way. What I will say about mounting it this way is obviously it is easier because you don't have to remove the old transmission line and route new line. But like I said, if I'm likely to have a failure, it's going to be right here. And if you do it the other way, you're probably not going to have failure. You don't have a weak point at all, basically. So you can decide which way you want to do it. I will keep you guys updated as to whether or not this fails. I'm hoping that it doesn't. That forum member didn't have any failures. I'm hoping I'm as good and as lucky as he is. But we'll see how that adapter and that connection holds up. And just so you guys can see with this mounting location, you can see up in here that transmission cooler is getting plenty of air, which is something that you want. And it's also not completely blocking off the radiator. So back through there, you'll be able to get air through there. On that side to the back, you can get air. And then also whatever air comes in from the lower grill will be good. So I think this is probably the most ideal spot to mount that transmission cooler. With all that said, you guys, I did want to say thank you so much for watching. Again, please check the description. If you're going to be doing this yourself, I'm going to have a whole bunch of useful links in the description, from forum posts to other YouTubers' videos to the parts that are required and the parts that I use. So again, if you're doing this, just check the description. I'm hoping that with that and with this video, with all that other stuff, you'll have a really good idea of what you want to do. Beyond that, if you're not subscribed, please subscribe already. It goes a long way. Again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.